There is more and better Lutheran material available now than ever before, and we're going to explore it together. Welcome to the Lutheran World. I'm Pastor Ben Meyer. My hope with this channel is quite simply to invite you to learn more about what is happening in the wider Lutheran world, to find out what resources are available, to hear about ministries that are happening around the world that you may otherwise not know of. We want to explore the Lutheran world to see all that there is to offer and to see all that is already happening. For my very first interview, we are talking with one of our college students from my congregation. Actually, he's no longer a college student. He is now a college graduate, but he is just getting his start in the film industry. He is out in California seeking to get involved in the film industry, in part because he knows that for Lutherans to make a difference culturally, we have to be involved in things like making films. But he also has some things that he has put together that might very well be of benefit to you or to your congregation. So, without further ado, we'll begin with our very first interview with Andrew Pohlod. All right, so welcome, Andrew. It's great to have you as the very first guest on the show. Part of the reason that I wanted to have Andrew on as our first guest is because a lot of the things that he does are things that really benefit congregations, especially in light of what we've been dealing with over the last, year and a half, 2 years, having to do a lot more in the digital realm, the media realm, and also understanding that there's an opportunity for us to use some of the visual arts in order to share the gospel with others. So before we get into what Andrew does, Andrew, just tell us a little bit about who you are and your background.
Sure, and thank you for having me, Pastor. I'm glad to be here. So I have been I've been in the church for as long as I can remember. I was born and baptized at a month and 3 days old. I think it was a month and 3 days. At a little Lutheran church in Zanesville, Ohio. That's where I grew up in Ohio. And my parents have been toting us to church ever since all the way through elementary school. And
So you are in California now, and what took you to California?
so I recently finished my degree in media production from Ohio University, and they have a great program where you go out to Los Angeles and you intern at a movie studio, you take some courses and earn some credits, and you really get some experience, professional experience in Los Angeles, in Hollywood. And I've always wanted to be a director, or in charge of the cinematography of films. So I thought this was a perfect fit for me. Um, and so I went with the program, and the program credits ended up finishing my degree. And so I am continuing to stay out here, trying to make a go of it and gain more experience in production in Hollywood, and do my best to serve God with the talents that He's given me, as far as creative media, and I do a little bit of writing as well, and I'm all around focused on working in creative visuals, and I think that's there was a moment there during the middle of the pandemic when when I helped set up the live streaming stuff at Hope Lutheran Church,
Hmm.
where I kind of had a realization. I said, wait a minute, born and raised Lutheran my whole life, you know, I love creative media. I kind of it was right in front of me the whole time, but I kind of realized, I was like, wait a minute, I can I can use my gifts to help improve uh the live stream at Hope and our visual presence online.
Now let's
And if
let's
you
let's just you didn't help improve the live stream. You helped us get a live stream started. We had nothing. And and then you helped us to get that started. But then you started getting interested in, okay, we got that up and running, but let's make things better. Let's make things more interesting. And so, for instance, during Holy Week, you put together a landing page for each of the services so that when people would see the live stream that was starting up, we would have this visual that was really attractive, but also helped to set the stage for what this is about. And that is something that looks really good. And we're not a large congregation. We're not spending thousands of dollars in media because we don't have thousands of dollars to spend on media. But you were able to help us to accomplish a really good look that really highlighted what the services were going to be about in a meaningful way. Maybe you want to tell us a little bit about what you did with that, or what was your thought process with that.
sure, yeah. My Some of my favorite church services growing up were Holy Week. And because I think the Holy Week services, I was telling my parents this, I think the Holy Week services are different from the other services in the church year because of how sensory they are, how many audio and visual components. Uh, not that the not that the no, regular divine services to common settings, not that they don't have many the paraments up front, the
Right.
altar.
There there are there
They
are
have,
all of the senses involved, but during Holy Week, it's a heightened sense.
yes, it's a whole another level, and rightfully so, because Holy Week is probably one of the most important weeks in the church year, if not the, because it's the sacrifice that
Right.
it's
It's what it
the
all leads to and hinges on.
yeah, one of the earliest things that we learned in catechism class. Everything before uh Christ in the Bible points forward to Christ, and
Yeah.
everything after Christ points back to the sacrifice. So it all hinges around the moment. And
Yeah.
that's what I love the most about the Holy Week services, and what I loved growing up was that the the office of the tenebrae, with all the candles slowly going out throughout, on Good Friday, um Maundy Thursday, the vivid descriptions of the Lord's Supper and the readings of what happened going into the Garden of Gethsemane, the door slamming, or sometimes it's a Bible, but
Hmm.
it's actually a funny story at our church growing up for the slamming of the door, which so that the door that they slammed at our congregation was this like 100-pound huge wooden door leading out of the sanctuary. So it would scare the crap out of all of us little kids, because it would open slowly, and then there wouldn't be a set time. It would just sit
Yeah.
open for about 20 to 30 seconds
And
until
it's all
wham,
dark. Yeah.
all dark. The entire sanctuary
Yeah.
is dark. And
Yeah.
as scary as that, as kind of like frightening as that was, it gave me goosebumps every time, because it sets you it puts you there 2000 years ago, when you have these things happening, and the sky has cloud, the clouds come over as the events on Calvary play out. It gives you visual, auditory, and you can feel it
Hmm.
up your, in the
Hmm.
goosebumps on your spine. It's an immersion into the
Yeah.
story of the gospel.
Yeah.
And I always found that very, very moving, very engaging
Yeah.
and very instructional, to the point of where I would remember those services.
Yeah.
And so when when we got the live stream in place, um, and I was, making media content as a college,
Yeah.
a
Yeah. In
college
your
kid,
spare time as a college student. Yeah.
yeah, I was like, well, hold on, why don't I just, why don't I make these services have these visual components to help, increase production value,
Right.
and give them a very fantastic way to set the mood and prepare hearts and minds for what we were about to receive
Mm.
in the divine services for Maundy, Thursday, and Good Friday in this example. I what I did was I have my own kind of camera equipment and whatnot. So I kind of used my resources, went to the Dollar Tree and bought a couple supplies, some craft supplies. Um, for Maundy Thursday, what I did was I actually built a small little wooden table, and I got some like a chalice and a bowl, and I painted them like a clay kind of earth color. And so this Maundy Thursday landing screen and I baked unleavened bread, by the way, in my oven. And yeah, it was a whole thing. Um, so
And when
this,
you go in on something, you go all in on it. You
well,
don't
yeah,
go halfway on it.
I mean, that's part of being a perfectionist, is that if I'm gonna make something, I want to give it my all and not, make I don't want to put a lousy job into something that it's my work, and it's I care about it.
Right.
So I made this Maundy Thursday landing screen with the breaking of the bread and some wine pouring into this chalice, and I added some scripture in there. This is my body, shed
Yeah.
for you. Those kinds of things, which I've known, they've been in my head for years because I hear it all, like every Sunday,
Yeah.
and it's been in my head. And
Yeah.
so it's something that's comfortable and that's close to my conscious.
Yeah.
So being able to breathe uh new life into it in this visual medium and
Hmm.
add it to the service has been something that I've enjoyed doing. It's been an honor to be able to do, and to put, now that we're live streaming our services.
Right. Well, and one of the things I love is I didn't have to wonder what's Andrew going to do. Am I going to have to go and pull this at the last second when I see it, because no, that's not appropriate. You know what the church is about. You know what is important. You understand the culture, and you understand the culture outside of the church in such a way that, okay, what is also going to catch someone's eye that might draw them in
Mhm.
to hear what we have to share.
Right.
And so I think that's really an important factor in when you're choosing to allow somebody to help with media in a congregation, or to put together some media packages. you know do they get it? Do they know what it's about? And that was really nice to just know, yeah, I don't have to worry about it, because yeah, Andrew's got it. He knows. And it's important to you that it reflects those things that we hold as deep convictions.
Hmm. Hmm. Yep.
So you got started doing that with us, and now you are kind of taking the next step, right? You are looking at how you might be able to help other congregations in a similar way, and how those congregations might be able to help you as you're trying, as a struggling artist in California, right? Trying to get your start in the film industry. That's not an easy thing to do. But this is a way where you might be able to help some congregations. They might be able to help support you as you're entering into that field, which is important, because we need Christians who are active in filmmaking and able to use those types of arts to communicate the messages that we have in good, well
Hmm.
done ways.
Hmm.
But they can help you. You can help them But so tell us a little bit about that. What are you doing now?
Yeah, so I've kind of collected a bunch of these these landing screens where that play before a church live stream happens, kind of like a waiting room as people enter. I like to think of them as preludes, but visual preludes. Like as people file into the church physically, they are listening to the piano or the organ, or play the prelude. These kind of help set the tone for that. And as people enter digitally on the live streams, it lets them know, oh, okay, it's the Maundy Thursday service, starts at like 7 p.m. and here's these nice visuals that help set the tone.
But
Um,
it could be, if you have screens in the sanctuary, it could be something that could be used in there as well. Not all
yes.
congregations do, and there's so strong feelings about it this way and that way. We have them. They were here when I got here, so we use them for the liturgy, and we also were able to use them for the putting those landing screens up. That really did, I think, help set the tone for things as people came in. So just another thing to kind of add in with that, another way in which it can be used. Yeah.
Yeah, and it was really great to see people interact with it as well,
Hmm.
and kind of watch the breaking of the bread. Or on Good Friday, I had nails and a crown of thorn on this kind of gravelly dirt road down in Athens, Ohio, where I was shooting all this. Um, and having a candle flickering in the wind, and then move to that, and it just it's people loved it, and they loved how simple it was, and I loved doing it too. It's not
Hmm.
like I was like, oh, look how great I am, but I
No,
really
no.
enjoyed kind of putting it all together for the worship services.
Right.
But so I gathered a bunch of these landing screens. I had some graphics that show like service times, upcoming service times and whatnot to play at the end of the live streams. All these kinds of types of content that I've made over the past, gosh, what has it been, a year and a half, 2 years now,
Yeah.
that I've been doing stuff related like this. And I figured it would be a great way to be able to help many Lutheran congregations look at some of these media content and be like, hey, I could, we could use that for our services or our live
Yeah.
streams to help kind of visually aid the word and the divine service. So
Well, and you could even use those as advertisements on Facebook. If you had the visual going on, but then you also have the times of the services, and what where they are. That it's a eye-catching way to get people's attention.
mhm,
Um, in
yeah.
I think probably a way that will resonate with some people.
Right. And something else too about my unique perspective being, just I'm not even 22 years old yet. Just finishing college with the media production. However, in the world, not of it, born and
Hmm.
raised Lutheran, I've loved and been a part of this my whole life. I'm able to see how the majority of people nowadays, young, middle-aged, most folks are visual learners, and they perceive things visually. Um, and we can see it all around us as
Hmm.
we look. There's not as much like words and text on signs. It's more,
Hmm.
you see more icons, like
Right. Right.
an icon and an arrow, or visual elements.
Yeah.
They make up our entire world.
Yeah.
And the Lutheran Church has had a lot of visual history. If you look at like the Luther's Rose,
Hmm.
And if you look at any altar in any Lutheran church, you see
Right.
all sorts of symbolism and
Yep.
icons and the way things are laid out. The
Yep.
altar being raised above the rest of the congregation to show
Yep.
that is
Yep.
almost like or not almost like the Jewish, the Holy of Holies
Right.
in the tabernacles. Um,
Oh yeah, the paraments, vestments, all of those things are visual, right?
yeah,
And yeah, you're right about that. I'm a word person. I like to, I would rather write a blog post and really detail something. But the reality is, I'm going to get a lot more people to hear the message that I have to share if I do it in a video than I am if I do it in that format at this point. That's
right,
just kind of the way the world is moving. So we have to make use of this technology. We can't just wish it were another way. It's, we went through a technological revolution with the movable type printing press, right? Back in Luther's day. And the church made use of that. Well, we're kind of in the midst of another technological revolution in which we're seeing more and more things done in video, in visual ways, rather than using words, typed words, written words. And so we've got to make use of that. And there's a lot of opportunities if we are willing to do it. But we also we also need to do it well, because when we do things and it looks cheesy, that just makes us look bad. We gotta do it in a way that looks good to be
right.
taken seriously by those outside of the church. And if we do have opportunities there. We don't want to squander those. We want to make use of those.
Right, and it's not to, because that's the other concern, is that it's not to replace or minimize God's word, and
Right.
that's what I think is a tricky line,
Yep.
is that it doesn't say, oh, this is better, or this is
No.
now, or this
No.
is, it more so brings the words to visual life,
Hmm.
whereas, because I think it was you, Pastor, or it might have been my dad who mentioned how back in the first early centuries of the Christian church, people listened to the word
Yep.
and gathered to listen because the apostles went out and walked from town to town. They told the word. They were people who had actually seen what had happened.
Nobody had their own Bible.
Exactly.
you know,
Exactly. It
that
was
it was auditory. It was
yeah,
it was shared in yeah, yeah, yeah.
right. And now, like you mentioned, now that we have these technological advancements that let us put visual aids and help
Right.
immerse people and invite people to come and watch and see what
Yeah.
this is about and why this symbolism exists and
Hmm.
why there's, and bring and see what you're reading. And
Yep.
I think that is very crucial. I know that is very crucial in communicating to visual learners, that, hey, this is the real deal. There's actual substance here, and it's worth listening to and watching, and doing it right in a respectful way. Really, really gives, uh, not gives, but really reinforces the credibility of ministry and
Yeah.
the divine service and
Yep.
and word.
Well, and it's speaking to the culture around us in a way that is going to be heard by the culture around us. And I think that's an important thing for us to be mindful of. We're not changing the message. We dare not change the message. It's just another avenue by which we can share that message.
Mhm.
So you talked about landing screens, and that's a way in which you could maybe put together a package for congregations. Um, but I think you could probably be of help to them in more ways than just that. Are there some other things that you have in mind?
Yeah, yeah, actually. So obviously I have these things that I have made and that I've
Right.
I've put together as, hey, reach out to me and I can get your own congregation's text in there, and that's great and all. But I have a degree in communications for media production. Like if a church comes to me and was like, I love your whatever, and it looks fine, but I was wondering if I could order something that has this specific imagery or
Hmm.
these needs, or I need a water washing hands, or for your specific whatever lesson that your congregation has. um I'm absolutely available to make custom video content, media, whatever is needed to fit the needs, the flexible needs of
Yeah,
many different congregations, and it doesn't have to be just Lutheran either. That's the thing too,
sure,
is that
sure,
um, you know just because it's Lutheran liturgy
right.
doesn't mean that it aligns with doesn't
Well,
mean that it doesn't
it
align with
yeah.
it's we
There's a
share a
lot
lot.
of things in the Christian world that are all, if you are a Christian, you're going to hold to these very same things,
Hmm.
right?
Hmm.
So there's a lot of other churches that are going to want the same kinds of things and value, very similar things.
Right.
So yeah, absolutely. And so now, if people wanted to see some of the work or to get more information or to get in contact with you, how would they go about that?
Sure. I have a website set up called Luthergical.com. That's Lutheran and liturgical. That's a play on words. I think I'm clever. Um, yeah. Luthergical.com, that's the website. And then I also have a Facebook at Luthergical. Um, and you can go there and bookmark the page or whatever you'd like to do, uh, and you can see some of my work that I've done, some examples of where it might fit in the divine service, some common examples there, um, and you can view what all I've done, as well as be able to reach out to me uh, to see what Lutheragical can do to fit your needs, make custom orders, that kind of stuff. As well as I have an option on there to sign up for a newsletter with Lutheragical, so that uh, every once in a while, when I I've made some new content for Advent of 2021 or whatever, you'll get an email. Oh, there's new Advent content in case your church would like to keep updating and make it a fresh kind of look. Uh, you know, for your upcoming services, whether
Hmm.
that's your live stream, your website, outreach. Your imagination is the limit.
Very good. Very good. Is there anything else you want to share before we wrap it up?
I am I am very happy and honored to be able uh, to use my gifts with creative media and visual technology uh, to produce these very powerful visuals that um, I, I that I think are a wonderful addition to help, at least from what I've seen at Hope, um, to help with the service and get people in the right set of the right state of mind for the divine service and the things that we love so much about being Lutheran and going to church.
Good. All right. Well, Andrew, I appreciate your time, and I appreciate you putting together the media for me for this as well. And we will look forward to hearing more from you and seeing your work and continuing to follow what you do using the gifts that God has given you. So thanks again.
Thanks, Pastor.